The math is mathing. Ghana is qualifying. I'm recording this video before Ghana Black Stars' last two World Cup qualifying matches against Central African Republic and Comoros. But I am 100% certain Ghana Black Stars will be at the 2026 World Cup in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Because of that, they keep on calling. Phones are calling. My friends have been calling me to ask me if I think Trump's immigration stance is going to affect the 2026 World Cup. And I had an answer for them that was confidently no before September. Now my answer has shifted from confidently no to I'm not so sure. Why was I certainly on no? And why is my answer changing now? I'll tell you why. My name is Enebi Tony. I'm a Ghanaian writer based in the US. But the fact that I live in the US is not why my friends call me to ask me about Trump. It's the fact that I am an expert in international relations and world news, right? So if you are interested in international relations and world news, subscribe to this channel. But I'm also a huge sports fan. So today we are going to combine sports history and international relations. It will all make sense to you. Let's start with why my answer was no. Let's start with history. So the FIFA World Cup is more than a sports tournament. It's a global event that relies on international norms and diplomatic frameworks. Countries often set aside political differences to ensure the World Cup takes place smoothly. A typical example of this happened in 1966. So the Korea War happened in 1953, and the United Kingdom took the side of South Korea and maintained zero diplomatic relations with North Korea. And North Korea shocked the world by qualifying to the 1966 World Cup. And the 1966 World Cup happened in England. England doesn't have relationship with North Korea. So what are they going to do? Well, they came to a pragmatic compromise. And the compromise was North Korea's players and officials will be given visa to go to England to participate in the World Cup, but they won't meet the Queen. So by meeting the Queen is the leader of England. By meeting the Queen, you are acknowledging diplomatic relationship, and they didn't do that, but they allowed the game to go on. And North Korea again shocked the world in the 1966 World Cup when they won against Italy by a goal to nil. And that gave up the phrase, diplomacy can never quite contain the power of football. That has been the refrain of FIFA since then till date. So much to the point that there are two countries on the surface of the earth whose nationhood or statehood is in contention. I have a video on this channel where I explain what statehood means on the international scene. I'll put it somewhere here so you can see it. But those two countries today are Palestine and Taiwan. Western Sahara, not so much. Palestine and Taiwan. But FIFA acknowledges Palestine and Taiwan to participate in the World Cup. Fun facts, you know FIFA has more members than UN. That is because there are some countries who UN doesn't recognize as countries, but FIFA recognizes as countries because FIFA is the everybody is welcome union, right? Good. So history, number one, FIFA's neutrality position, number two, and number three, Trump's current policy. So if you don't follow world politics, President Trump put some visa restrictions and diplomacy sanctions on 19 countries in the world. Most of them are from the Middle East and Africa. Some of them are who have even qualified to the World Cup. And if you read that sanction, Trump included that players and officials of these countries who qualify to the World Cup will be allowed into the US. So even though he's putting travel ban on 19 countries, he included a fine print that those countries, if you qualify to the World Cup, your players and officials will be allowed to attend. Players and officials. He didn't say anything about fans, but we'll get to that. So my no was confident because FIFA history, the World Cup history, and Trump himself has acknowledged that the World Cup is different from US everyday politics, right? But September, something happened that changed my mind. But before we get to September 2025, let's start with some history here too. There have been times when FIFA have followed the crowd to sanction some countries. So in the 1994 World Cup, Yugoslavia, which used to be a country, was not allowed to participate because UN put sanctions on Yugoslavia because of war. And FIFA also enforced a sanction. So Yugoslavia, who we now call Serbia and Montenegro or Serbia, Yugoslavia wasn't allowed to participate in the 1994 World Cup. So there have been instances where FIFA have foregone their neutrality rule to punish some countries. And currently, Russia is banned from participating in the World Cup qualifiers because of their attack on Ukraine. So I didn't know about the Yugoslavia thing until I started doing my research, and I came to the conclusion that so there is precedent for FIFA punishing some country. Number two, September changed my mind because, again, I have another video on this channel which I was talking about President Mohammed's speech at the UN, and I explained that the US was acting out of character when they didn't allow the president of Palestine to attend the UN conference this in September, because it is international law understood that US, as the headquarters of the UN, will allow countries who don't have diplomatic relationship with the US to come to the UN General Assembly. So the US broke precedent for the UN General Assembly, and UN couldn't do anything about it. And so, history, FIFA have punished some countries before. FIFA is currently punishing Russia, and the US this year proved that if it serves their interests, they can forego long-standing international traditions. So that is why my answer moved from definite no to I'm not so sure. But all hope is not lost. I'll tell you why. Again, let's talk three reasons. I like the number three. Three reasons why, even though my answer have moved from a no to not so sure, I'm still confident that President Trump's position on immigration will not affect the World Cup. Number one, personal. This 2026 World Cup is very, very personal for President Trump. In 2018, when the US was bidding to host the World Cup, President Trump sent a tweet that any country that doesn't vote with the US, he's watching. He didn't say you will see us on me, but he said, I'm watching. And so the US current president have taken the World Cup very, very personal because President Trump's son, who I just saw in the news is worth $150 million currently, is a huge soccer fan. So last year, I was watching the US elections, and when President Trump won his first primary or caucus in Iowa, he gave a speech that sounded like he's won the whole election to be president. That speech went on for like 2 hours. And about 30 minutes of that speech, he was talking about his son, Barron Trump. And about 15 minutes of that 30 minutes, he was talking about the fact that Barron is so tall, he is 6'8". He can be a great basketball player, but Barron doesn't like basketball, he likes soccer. And Trump went on to complain over and over again. And because President Trump's son, Barron, his last born, is a huge soccer fan, soccer is very, very personal for President Trump. He himself has shared that when Pele used to play in the US, he went to watch him. And so Pele is his favorite soccer player. So we know President Trump has a very personal interest in soccer. But aside family connection, President Trump has money interest in the World Cup. So FIFA, yeah, has opened an office in the Trump Towers. FIFA had two offices in the US. They had an office in Miami, which is their legal office. I don't remember where their second office is, but now they've opened a full FIFA office at the Trump Towers. So FIFA is paying Trump rent so that, things go move smoothly. And even crazier than that, recently, President Trump traveled with the FIFA President Gianni Infantino from the US to the Middle East. It has nothing to do with FIFA. They were just traveling. Trump was going to the Middle East for some peace talk, and the FIFA president followed him. So much so that FIFA president was late for FIFA meeting in Paraguay. So I believe that one of the reasons why I'm not too worried about Trump immigration affecting the World Cup is because the current FIFA president is working extra hard to make sure Trump doesn't do his thing when it comes to the World Cup. But with Trump, it's still in the air. But I said I was going to talk about the fans. FIFA have been trying something for some time now. In the 2018 World Cup, FIFA introduced what they call the fan ID, where if you buy a ticket to attend the World Cup, you are given a fan ID and your background will be investigated and everything. And with that fan ID, you don't need a visa to go to Russia for the 2018 World Cup. So the fan ID was considered a visa. And FIFA tried it again in 2022 in Qatar. And even in Qatar, they included more information, including your login, where you were staying and everything in Qatar. So FIFA was able to track people who came to Qatar for the World Cup. And that is going to be very, very important when it comes to the US immigration. Because the US concern is going to be, when fans come to the World Cup, are they going to go back to their country? Those of you who are planning to come to the World Cup and not go back to Ghana, it probably is going to be difficult for you because FIFA has declared that in order to buy a ticket for the 2026 World Cup, you need to open what they call a FIFA ID on their website. And that ID is going to be used to track everything you do. Yeah. So I believe that the fan ID or the FIFA ID is going to be a good negotiation tool for FIFA to use when they are discussing with Trump how the visa situation is going to look like. So because the US would have the ability to track people who come into the US for the World Cup, FIFA probably is going to have some leeway in convincing Trump to allow fans to attend the World Cup. But even if fans are not allowed in, the World Cup won't be boring. I'll tell you why. What do you think is the highest, most attended World Cup in the history of the World Cup? I'm waiting. 1994 World Cup in the US. Yeah. In the US, they didn't have a soccer league, MLS, until 1996. So in 1994, the US was a zero soccer country. Soccer wasn't a thing here. And yet, so many people attended the World Cup in 1994, so much so that when the number of countries who attend the World Cup was increased to 32 in 1998, it still didn't break the record. No country has been able to break the record the US set in 1994. And it looks like the US is going to break their own record in 2026. American fans love to have fun. So they're going to attend the World Cup even if other countries are not here. I'm not saying other countries shouldn't come, but they're going to attend the World Cup even if other countries are not here. Because the World Cup is a television event anyway. 3 billion people are going to watch the World Cup on TV. So you don't really need the fans to come in, but I'm hopeful the fans will be allowed to come in. That's what I wanted to share with you. And let me know if you are interested in hearing more of my research on the World Cup and politics, how they intersect. If you're interested in hearing more of that, let me know in the comments and I probably will make more videos talking about the World Cup and, its political and diplomatic relationship with the rest of the world. Talk to you later and let me know if you're coming to the US. Bring me, bring me this shirt. This shirt is old. I bought it in 2022. I've been wearing it for 4 years. My name self remove. So if you're coming to the US, bring me this shirt. And also, I have there are more things I need from Ghana, but let's start with the shirt. Talk to you later. Bye bye.